so I never in a million years thought that I might be recording a video that other people could see. Then again, there are a lot of things going on right now that I never thought in a million years would happen. I have been journaling a lot, but I wanted to get the things that are going on in my head, not just out of my head to the paper version of my head, but out of my head to something bigger. And I thought about blogging, which at some point I might take up again, but right now I really don't want to write because all I'm doing for school right now is writing. And so any writing energy that I have, I'm putting towards that. So the thing that's been on my mind recently is that I wish we still believed in vampires. I know this sounds odd coming from a 21-year-old, but it's not because I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer and wish we lived in that world, or because I enjoyed Dracula and would love to be Mia Harper. No. It's because I recently finished an honors thesis on folklore. And in this honors thesis, I was looking not only at folklore, but at the creatures in folklore and why they appear throughout different cultures. One of these recurring characters is the vampire. It is generally agreed upon by folklorists that vampires tend to appear during times of epidemics. And we are not just in an epidemic, we are in a pandemic. And I wish that vampires were appearing now. Vampires would appear as the scapegoats. They would appear as the monsters that we could blame. Of course, we can blame the virus as a monster, but I want something with a face. I wish that I was not being able to finish out my senior year because there was a fear that the graveyard across the street from the townhouse that I lived in was eventually one night going to be crawling with the undead emerging from their soily graves, rather than a fear that the living were going to be infected by a virus and sent to a small hospital that could not handle the overcrowding. I wish that I couldn't get a job, not due to the fear of a virus, but due to the fact that we thought that a vampire might infiltrate our midst and suck our blood, instead of an unsuspecting person who's been infected entering our midst and filling our lungs with fluid. I wish we believed in vampires because while monsters are scary, we can fight them. All you need is a little bit of bravery and a wooden stake. That's it. Or some garlic, or a cross, or some holy water. There are a lot of options. Right now, the way to fight it is staying at home. And while that is in a way taking action, it's not action. And I do better with action. I am making masks as a way to take action and to not feel so helpless that I'd much rather be out with a wooden stake, wandering the streets looking for a real villain. I want a villain. I want something to blame and something to be angry at, and not just something that occurs in nature and mutates. I've also been finding it pretty ironic that it probably came from some bats at the same time that I'm reading about vampires being blamed for pandemics. Though, I love bats, and I feel sorry for the bats, but still. maybe it's time to bring a little bit more magic in and use our imaginations and come together against this evil and not fight about rules and regulations, but rather be compassionate and do what is best for others so the rules and regulations don't have to be put in place. Instead, we just look after each other. Sitting in this backyard, talking about vampires seems fitting because this is the same backyard where when I was a little girl, I used to run around talking to the fairies and getting expired spices and sticks and leaves and making potions and pretending to be a witch. And it is now sitting in this backyard that I wish for that same belief in a monster. I want the belief of a monster under my bed that terrified me so much as a child now, because I want to fight it. It's so hard having everything changed due to something that we can't see, and while we are afraid of, cannot even imagine truly fighting. Of course, our scientists and hospital workers are fighting it, but it's not a battle, and it's not something that just any one of us can step out and do. I want to be a vampire slayer, not taking my classes online, sitting in my room, wondering when things will not go back to normal, but go back to a semblance of normal where I can go and get a job and start my post-grad life. If it was a vampire prowling the streets, in the dark, in the fog, under the moon, at least I would have an image to imagine. At least I would have something to look out my window and wonder if I would see. As it is, my brain tries to imagine something, but it's something that can be anywhere without my knowing it, without my seeing it. I want either the grotesque, bloated corpse walking the streets from folklore, or better yet, the beautifully dressed young woman, or tall, dark young man in a cape. I want something that I can put a name and face to. And yes, this virus has a name, but it's not the same as being able to say, Dracula's coming, Drusilla's coming. We don't know when it's coming. There's no warning, and that's scary. I'd like to at least be able to pretend that there was warning. I wish we believed in vampires because I wish we were taking all these same precautions that we are now that would keep this virus from spreading. But that we were doing it because of something supernatural. Because of something almost fun. It would be terrifying, of course. But there'd be a sense of excitement. This has no excitement. I wish we believed in vampires because I do want to be a slayer. I don't want to sit here anymore, but I will, because it's not a vampire. And because even if it was, probably not be the one killing it. But I wish I was. Vampires have been around since Babylon. We have been imagining the dead rising and coming back, not as our loved ones, but to harm us, for thousands and thousands of years. I wish that this was a time that we were connecting to that thousands and thousands of year-long history, instead of something new, something that none of us have ever experienced before, something that none of us know truly how to deal with. But at the same time, we're all in it together, just like we would be against the vampire. And at least there's that.